Welcome back everybody. Welcome back everybody to another Pokémon Crystal disassembly tutorial. In today's one, the aim is to learn to add a new move into the game and new move effects into the game and see how we can implement them with currently existing Pokémon. Now, if you followed the last tutorial where we were creating a Pokémon in Pokémon Crystal doing a backport, I'd highly recommend backing up your folder at this moment. So open the path, it's of course in home, then your username, then PokéCrystal. Copy the folder, paste it somewhere else, maybe keep it in your Sigwin area so that you can easily refer to it if you want to make more modifications. But I would highly recommend backing up as you go, especially because in this one we're going to go for a completely fresh install of PokéCrystal. So I'll rename this one to PokéCrystal Love Disk Backport. And I generally like to put a Z at the start of the file name as well, or the folder name, so that it doesn't then show up in search everything. We can then delete the initial PokéCrystal folder because we no longer need it. We've done everything we want from there, and we will start from scratch. So to refresh your memory, if you don't remember how to get a fresh install of PokéCrystal, you open up Sigwin and you type in git clone and then https github.com/pret/PokéCrystal. And if you spell crystal correctly, you will end up with your repository. Once you've got it downloaded, I would highly recommend running a make before doing anything else. It'll save time troubleshooting later on, so I'll meet you back once I've done that make. And now we've got our clean version of Pokémon Crystal all made up, we can start thinking about adding in some moves. We're going to refer to the tutorials page on the GitHub. We're going to open up how to add a new move and how to add a new move effect. We're mostly doing this together files. I'll take you through in more detail what we're actually doing as we're going along. And the first one we're going to want to open is in constants, and then it's going to be move constants. After that, we're staying in data moves for the other ones, and we're going to want names first of all, as we can see down here. We're going to want descriptions. Let's open that one up. We want data moves, and we want animations. And while we're at it, we're actually going to open the files for the move effects as well. Now, we won't always need these files, but it is very good to have as part of your Notepad session. So the first thing we're going to want to do is go back into our constants folder, and we're going to want move effect constants. After that, it's going to be effects pointers. That is in data and then moves. So if we get effects pointers as well as effects, and then we are off over to macros, scripts, battle commands of all places. That one's really out of the way. So we will open up battle commands. We've got effects commands pointers and effect commands as well. So if we do effect commands, we'll open the pointers and we will open the commands as well. We're not going to bother with the AI quite yet. This is going to be very basic to get us started with. But these files are all we need to get the lion's share of moves into the game. There are going to be some that will require extras, but there's no sense in having them in the session if you're not going to be using them all the time. So let's now save another session. We've already got our Pokémon Crystal backporting Pokémon files. So this one's going to be backporting moves files. So we'll save the session so that we never lose it. And that way, if we want to add more moves or we create a fresh install of Pokémon Crystal, we will always have those files ready to open. So let's begin. The first thing we'll do is we'll familiarise ourselves with the moves page. It's very similar, this moves constant file, to the Pokemon constants file, and in the same way that we were only able to add up to 253 Pokemon, we're only able to add up to 254 moves. There is a way to get a 255th move in, but that's out the scope of this particular tutorial because that involves some fairly intricate editing, and because we're right at the beginning of our series of tutorials, that's something we'll think about later. But for now, all we need to think about is getting some moves in. So we will start with the move constants. We're going to go below beat up here because that's the last move in the index. And I think the first one we're going to do is extra sensory. So we'll do const to define a new constant, extra sensory. We'll get that on the clipboard as well, and that's all we need to do here. You can do the semicolon and FC if you like for neatness purposes. And up next is the move names folder. Once again, we're going to go to beat up and we're going to add it to the bottom. Start off with an LI and then put your move name in quotes. Now this can be up to 12 characters long, and extra sensory just about fits there. Now the next one is descriptions. We're going to go all the way down to beat up once more. It's probably quicker to search. So now what we're going to do is we're going to move FC up to above the assert table length, and we'll rename it to extra sensory description. We'll get that on the clipboard, go all the way to the bottom of the file. We'll do a colon at the end of there, and now we've got 17 characters per line. So a move that may, and then on the next line, cause flinching. And we'll finish off with an at there. When you finish off a move description, you've always got to put an at the end. We will also check, is that 17 characters? It's 16, that just about fits. So we'll save there and we'll go into data, moves. Once again, we're going to go right down to the bottom of this list, and this looks like a very, very intimidating file at first. I will take you through it. There is a description here at the top. The first one says animation there, but that's your move constant. It refers to whatever move is in the move constants in that slot. This is in the same order, by the way, as move constants. All of them are, so you've got to make sure everything is in the same order. We've got the effect, so for instance, pound is a normal hit. It is a 40 base power of the normal type, 100 accuracy, 35 PP, and 0 additional effect chance, because it doesn't have an additional effect. So we'll go down to the bottom and we will get ourselves extra sensory in. So we'll start off with move, extra sensory, and then we will do effect, and it is a flinch hit move. So we can see here we have flinch hit. However, in Generation 3, it interacts with minimize, so that wouldn't be 100% accurate. Fortunately for us, though, we have something that already interacts with minimize, and that's stomp. So if we do effect stomp instead, we can then go for a comma and we can start looking at its move power and PP. Now, I don't know off the top of my head what extra sensory's power and PP is, so what we'll do is we'll just do a quick search for it. We'll go into Pokemon DB and see what it is. So it is an 80 base power move with 100% accuracy and 20 PP. So it's 80 base power, it's a psychic type move, and you may notice here we've got psychic with an underscore type. And that's because we cannot have two constants of anything sharing the same name. There's the constant for the psychic type, which is psychic underscore type, and then if we very quickly go back to move constants and we look for psychic, we can see it's psychic underscore M. So that's how we're getting by with having a move and a type of the same name. So it is a psychic type move. It is 100% accurate. Let's double check that PP again. I think it was 10 PP. It is 20 PP and a 10% chance to flinch. So I'll put 20 in the PP column and then 10 in the chance to flinch. And the last thing we need to do is define an animation. This is something I don't know how to do to actually animate a move, so generally what I do is I reuse another move's animation. We'll move this first dummy up from below number tax, and then let's have a think, what animation shall we borrow? Let's go for Psybeam, it's roughly the same, so we'll save that there, and that is our first move already in. We didn't have to create a new move effect, so that is all we needed to do. And if you're only planning on backporting moves that have the same effects already in Generation 2, this is all you need for this tutorial. So you can leave here, safe in the knowledge that you can backport moves. However, if you want to go a little bit more complex, we'll go back to move constants and we'll add something that doesn't currently have a move assigned to it in Generation 2, but it does have an effect already in. So what we're going to do is we're going to add in Nasty Plot. So let's start off with a constant with Nasty Plot. We'll go down to names, we'll add LI, and it's going to be Nasty Plot once more. Then on descriptions, we are going to go back up to the top of the list. We'll search for beat up again because that's a very easy one to remember. We'll move FD up and we're going to put Nasty Plot description. Now, I didn't delete Move FC description there, and it won't break if you don't, but we can delete Move FC and Move FD description very safely now. We don't need them anymore, and we'll go back to the bottom of this page and we'll type in a description. And so for this one, we're going to do DB, and then we're going to say sharply raises, and then on a new line we'll type next users special attack. Finish it off like that. Does that fit? Yes, it does. We can even afford to put the full stop afterwards. And we'll move on into the moves file again. I'm going to duplicate extra sensories line just so that we get that starting bit and we get to see the formatting. We'll do nasty plot here. And now you may notice we don't have an effect for that. However, if we go over to move effect constants, this is a list of all the effects that are currently coded into Generation 2. And do you see this here? Effect Spatak up 2. It's already been coded in, it just wasn't used. So what we will do is we will replace effect stomp there with that, and this is going to be a 0 power move. It's a dark type move, and now let's go back to Pokemon DB and we'll have a little look and see what Nasty Plot's information is for its PP. So it is 20 PP of the dark type. 100% accurate because of course it's a status move. We've already got 20, and then we just need to make its secondary effect chance 0. So let's now move over to the animations page again. We're going to move another dummy up, and we're going to pick a random move once again to use for its animation. I don't know what move to use here. We'll use Psych Up because we very rarely get to see Psych Up. Give it a save, and that's another move all in. If you just want to have a look at the move effect constants to see if the move effects you want is already in, then we are done here. If not, we are going to go back to the beginning and we're going to add a third move in. And for this third move, I think we're going to go with Calm Mind. So we're going to do another const, and then it will be Calm Mind. We know what to do here, we give it a name, so let's very quickly get Calm Mind in as a name. For the description, what we will do is we'll go back up, we'll search for beat, we'll bring move FE up this time, and we'll do Calm Mind description. And then under here, we'll do Calm Mind description with a colon. We'll do a DB and ups, Spickle attack, next, and Spickle def. Finish it off, and we are on to moves. So once again, we will duplicate our nasty plots. We'll do Calm Mind here, and we are going to put in effect Calm Mind. Now, if you do that and leave it, it's not going to do anything because it doesn't know what effect Calm Mind is. So we will have to try and get the effect in. It's going to be 100% accurate. I think it's got 15 PP. The PP doesn't really matter here. We'll move up a battle anim, and we will go for Amnesia here. And now we go on to move effect constants. This is the first new file. We saw it a little bit in the last one, and we're going to go all the way down to the bitty bottom. We're going to go for const and effect Calm Mind, and then we can move on to effects pointers. So these three files, effects constants, effects pointers, and effects, they are all talking to each other. So they all need to be in the same order on the list. So we'll start off with effects constants. We've got that. So let's now go to the bottom of here. We'll do DW, and we will do Calm Mind. And now we are on to the effects page. Now at first, the effects page was very intimidating to me, but it really is very simple. All this is what steps we need to go through in order for a move to happen. So a normal hit is just a regular hit with no secondary effect. We check obedience, we use the move, we do the turn, we check for a critical, we do the damage stats and calculation, we factor in stab, we do damage variation, we check if it hits, we animate the move, and then it's either going to be failure or we apply the damage. If there's a crit, we do a critical hit text. If it's super effective, we do super effective text. We check to see if the opponent faints. If not, we build their rage. We check for the King's Rock to see if they flinch, and then we end the move. So pretty much everything is going to start with check obedience, and it's going to finish with end move. Now this is a status move, so what we can do here is we can have a little look at something like defense up. In fact, we will copy that and take it down to the bottom, and we will change that to Calm Mind. So what happens here is we check the obedience, we use the move, we do the turn, and then we do defense up. We lower the substitute for the animation, we raise it up again, and then we do the stat up message or the stat up fail text. However, we're not actually going to be needing much at all in our effects. We're going to be piggybacking off other effects that are already in. So we can get rid of everything between defense up and stat up fail text, and we'll just type in calm mind. It's got to be all in lowercase because otherwise there would be a mismatch. So we can now save that and move on to the next file. I would actually recommend reordering effect command pointers and battle commands because it will make a lot more logical sense if we go through this way. Battle commands is just a list of all the things that we can see in effect. So for instance, there will be battle command failure text somewhere in there. We're going to go down to the bitty bottom again, and underneath command curl, we're going to do command and then all in lowercase, calm mind. We'll give that a save, and now this is very important. The effect command pointer has to be in the same place in the list as the battle command. So we'll go down to below command curl, we'll do DW, and we'll do battle command, and then calm mind. We'll copy that, we'll give it a save, and now we're into the big file. This is effect commands. This is ostensibly the brains of Generation 2. Anything that happens in a move has to come through this file. So we've got all the different things here for dealing with flinch, for sleep, for literally any move effect you can think of. And we're going to go all the way down to the bottom. We'll do battle command calm mind, and now here is where the coding begins. When it's broken down into its basics, calm mind is just a combination of two effects that are already in Generation 2. Because we raise our special attack and we raise our special defense. If we go back to move effect constants, we can see we have effect spatak up and we have effect spadef up. And they also have their own effects and effect commands pointers. So we've got battle command special attack up. We've got a battle command special defense up as well. And there is also a message command that is linked to the stats going up. So we know that what we can do is we can call battle command special attack up. And then all we need to do is call the battle command, if I can spell battle it helps, battle command stat up message. And then we do it again for call battle command special defense up. And then just to be slightly different, instead of calling the stat up message, we're going to jump to it. So that is JP, and then we will do battle command stat up message. And that is so that we can leave this routine and progress with our moves. However, in its current state, there is a factor we have not taken into consideration. If we have maximum special attack, we're never going to raise our special defense. So we can call a routine called reset miss to fix that. So we'll call it once before just in case. We'll call it in between the special attack and special defense as well. All that does is tell the battle engine, ignore anything you've heard about moves missing before or failing. We're starting over from scratch. And with that, calm mind is done. There's one more thing we should probably do. We should open up Evo's attacks and we should test to see if these moves work. So if we go to Totodile Evo's attacks, you can see I have already put Calm Mind, Nasty Plot and Extra Sensory in. So if we now run a make, we will be able to see those moves in action. And now with one very quick make out of the way, let us get search everything back up. We're going to open up the GBC file once more, and we are going to reopen RetroArch. Let's get ourselves back into Elm's Lab. Now you may notice I always start just outside of Elm's Lab. That's because if you make changes to the Elm's Lab map file, like I often do for things like the Challenge Run base, if you're already in there, you will get soft locked. We're going to pick Totodile. It's going to be our testing Totodile. We're not going to give it a nickname. We're going to go straight into the grass, though, and we will see these moves in action. So we've got 3 moves in total. We know that the first 2 are going to work because we've already done battle commands that were already in the game. So we'll use Extra Sensory. It's going to be a 2-shot here on the Centret. Let us now, though, try it against Pidgey with a Nasty Plot first time. We'll see it does that 1-shot. Yes, it does. And we will test out Calm Mind as well. So we've got another Pidgey. Special attack goes up. Special defense goes up. And we can use it constantly and then just use an Extra Sensory to knock it out. And I am more than pleased to say that this is another tutorial all over with. So to recap what we've done, we've learnt how moves are coded into Generation 2. We've added a couple of moves with different effects, customizing one of the effects because it's slightly different in Generation 3 to later generations. We've added our own new move effects piggybacking off the other move effects, and we've also tested them out with Totodile. In the next one, we're going to go a little bit more complex with the move effects and do some custom coding for the first time. But in the meantime, I will say thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please do leave a like. If you've got any feedback, leave it in the comments down below. And until next time, I will say thank you for watching, and I'll see you all very, very soon.